Life's funny, you know. One day, you're folding sweaters in a fancy shop, dreaming of something bigger. The next, you're face to face with something that feels like fate. At least, that's how it felt when Bradley walked in. But let me start from the beginning. I'm Marilyn and I love fashion. Not the flashy, expensive kind, but the smart, stylish kind that makes you feel good without breaking the bank. The boutique where I worked felt like my playground, my classroom, and sometimes my whole world. I could take a vintage belt and a modern dress and make them look perfect together. My dream? To make this passion a career as a stylist. So, Bradley. That was his name, right? I asked him as he looked through our new collection. He had this artsy vibe, with a camera around his neck, like he saw the world through snapshots. Yeah, I'm here for a shoot, he said. I need something that screams urban chic, but doesn't look like it's trying too hard. I laughed. You're in luck. Urban chic is my thing. Well, not really, but you get the idea. As we talked, I pulled together pieces, mixing colors and textures like a DJ mixing beats. He was easy to talk to, and for a guy who spends his time looking through a lens, he had a surprisingly good eye for fashion. You're really talented, Bradley said, holding up a leather jacket I had paired with a soft floral dress. Ever thought of doing this professionally? All the time, I admitted. But rent and dreams don't always get along. He nodded. Tell me about it. I was shooting weddings before I got bigger gigs. You've got to go after what you love. Before I could respond, a sharp voice cut through the store. Marilyn, darling. Where are those scarves I asked for? That was my boss, Mrs. Tiffany. Patience wasn't her thing. On it, I called back, giving Bradley a quick smile. Duty calls. He handed me his card. Let's talk. Maybe we can work on something together. Maybe, I said, pocketing the card. I didn't hold my breath. People say, let's collaborate all the time, but it rarely means anything. The rest of my day was a blur of customers, folding clothes, and Mrs. Tiffany's endless requests. But as I locked up the store that evening, Bradley's card felt heavy in my pocket. What if? I thought. Then, no, don't get your hopes up. As I stepped outside, I heard his voice. Hey, Marilyn. Bradley was leaning against the wall. Grab a coffee with me. I've got an idea. I want to share something with you. Coffee turned into dinner, and dinner turned into late-night talks about everything and nothing. Bradley's world of photography was as wild and colorful as my world of fashion. The more we talked, the more it felt like we were meant to meet. Then, out of the blue, Bradley said, "You should come to dinner with my family this weekend." One moment we were relaxing on his couch, flipping through old photo albums, and the next he was dropping this bomb. Are you serious? I asked, staring at him like he'd lost his mind. Bradley, we've been dating for, what, a couple of months? Isn't it a bit soon for the whole meet the family thing? He just gave me that cocky grin of his, the one that made me roll my eyes and laugh every time. They're going to love you, Marilyn. I want you to meet them. I want my worlds to come together. I could have said no. I could have told him I wasn't ready for all that. But he looked so excited, so hopeful. What could I do? I gave in. Fine, I said. But if your sister starts picking out wedding dresses, I'm out of there. Bradley laughed. Doris? Nah, she's more likely to sell you a fake one and pocket the cash. Great, just the confidence boost I needed, I muttered. Bradley wasn't kidding when he said his family lived big. Their house looked like something out of a fancy magazine, sleek, modern, and way too expensive looking. My thrift store chic outfit suddenly felt very out of place as we walked up to the door. His mom, Brittany, greeted me with a hug that felt warm and real, while his dad, Caleb, gave me a firm handshake and a friendly smile. So far, so good. Then there was Doris. She strolled in like she owned the place, which, honestly, she probably did. So, you're the one keeping my brother away from us, Doris said, looking me up and down like I was a puzzle she couldn't figure out. Dinner was tricky. Every question Brittany asked was polite, but had a little edge of judgment. Caleb mostly talked about Bradley's photography, occasionally tossing me a question like he was checking a box. Doris, though, was in a league of her own. So, Marilyn, Doris said with a smirk. Bradley says you're into fashion. Planning to make a career out of selling clothes. I felt myself bristle.
It's more than selling, I said.
I'm working toward becoming an image stylist. It's about creating a look, a persona. It's not just clothes. Art, huh? Doris said, still smirking. Sounds dreamy. I thought art was about expression, not dressing up mannequins. I could feel Bradley getting tense next to me, but I put a hand on his arm to calm him. Everyone has their own way of creating, Doris. Some people use a canvas, others a camera. I glanced at Bradley and added, and some of us use fabric and texture. It's all about expressing yourself. The rest of the evening was a blur of polite small talk and little digs from Doris. By the time Bradley and I said goodbye, I couldn't wait to leave. Meeting Bradley's family was one thing, but dealing with his sister? That was drama I hadn't signed up for. It all came to a head one afternoon at the boutique. It was busy, and in walked Doris, strutting around like she owned the place. Her eyes scanned the store until they landed on me. Hey, Marilyn, she said, holding up a dress from the new collection. You're going to hook me up with a discount, right? Family perks and all. I could already feel the headache coming. Doris, you know I can't do that. This is the newest line, no discounts, not even for family. Her smirk disappeared, replaced by a scowl. Oh, come on. Don't be such a buzzkill. I'm practically your sister. I shook my head, trying to stay calm. Rules are rules, Doris. I can't just bend them for you. That didn't sit well. She threw the dress onto the counter and stormed out, muttering about how I'd regret it. I sighed, knowing this wasn't over. Sure enough, Bradley brought it up later. Marilyn, why couldn't you just give her the discount? She's my sister. We're supposed to help each other. I was frustrated but kept my cool. Bradley, I can't risk my job over a discount. It's not that I didn't want to help her. I just couldn't. He didn't seem to get it, or maybe he didn't want to. Either way, things were tense between us for a while. Family dinners didn't help. Doris was always gloating about her rich boyfriend and their upcoming wedding, going on and on about how perfect everything was. Bradley soaked it all up, cheering her on, while I just sat there, forcing a smile and feeling like I didn't belong. I felt like an outsider, always watching from the sidelines. Don't miss this chance, Doris, Bradley would say, and I'd just nod along, wondering when this awkward game would finally end. It was clear Doris loved making me uncomfortable, enjoying every chance to show me up in front of Bradley and his parents. And Bradley? He was stuck in the middle, always trying to keep the peace but never fully seeing the bigger picture. Despite the ups and downs, especially with Doris stirring the pot every chance she got, Bradley and I still found moments of happiness. One of those moments came on a lazy Friday. The kind of day where time slows down, and it feels like the world is just for you. We were sprawled on the couch, half watching some show neither of us cared about, when Bradley did something that changed everything. I was mid-yawn when he muted the TV and turned to me with this look. You know, the kind that says something big is about to happen. My heart started racing. Marilyn, we need to talk, he said, suddenly serious. I sat up straight. What's going on? Is everything okay? He ran a hand through his hair, looking nervous. Yeah, no, everything's great. Better than great, actually. I've just been thinking. My heart sank. Here it comes, I thought. Doris finally got to him. He's done with all this. I don't want to wait anymore, Marilyn, he said, his voice steady. I want us to start planning our future together. I blinked, trying to process his words. What do you mean? Then he got off the couch, knelt down on one knee, and it hit me. My breath caught in my chest. Marilyn, will you marry me? For a moment, time stopped. My heart froze, then started pounding. Are you serious? You're asking me now. Yeah, why not? He said with that confident, slightly cocky grin that always made me melt. I love you, Marilyn. I want to spend my life with you, drama and all. So, what do you say? I looked at him, kneeling there, so sure of himself and of us, even with that voice in my head whispering about Doris and all the challenges we'd face. I already knew my answer. Yes, I said softly, almost a whisper. Yes, I'll marry you. Bradley's face lit up, and he pulled me into his arms, spinning me around the room. "That's my girl," he said, laughing. But as the excitement settled, reality started creeping in. I placed my hands on his chest and looked up at him. "Bradley, you do realize what you're signing up for, right? Your sister, my job, us, it's not going to be easy." He set me down and held my shoulders, looking me straight in the eyes. "Marilyn, I don't care about any of that. We'll figure it out together. Doris will come around, and if she doesn't, that's her problem, not ours. You and me, we're a team now." His words melted away the worry in my chest. "A team, huh?" I said, a small smile breaking through. "Always," he replied. And in that moment, I believed him. I liked the sound of that. A team, Marilyn and Bradley, taking on the world together. We laughed, and the tension melted away, replaced by this feeling of being right where we belonged. In that moment, it didn't matter what Doris or anyone else thought. We were in this together for better or worse. Wedding prep took over my life. It became a full-time project. From the start, I was all in. Designing the whole event was my thing. I imagined a vibe that was elegant but with a twist, something bold and unique, just like me. I found the perfect dress with a massive bow that screamed Marilyn, the bridesmaids' outfits, handpicked by yours truly. And for the guests, I had a vision to tie everything together seamlessly. I went all out with the details. Custom invitations, guest gifts that weren't boring, photo zones that would make everyone's Instagram blow up, and an arch and table setup that had to be perfect. I couldn't stop buzzing, picturing everyone's faces when they saw it all come together. Brittany, my future mother-in-law, was my shopping buddy. We hit the stores every weekend, hunting for the perfect little touches. Over coffee, she'd gush about how impressed she was. "You're really going all out," she said one day, shaking her head. "Doris is not even half this involved with her plans." Then she hit me with it. "Could you give Doris a hand with her wedding stuff?" I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but Brittany looked so hopeful that I agreed. "Sure, I'll talk to her." "Doris, though?" She shut me down instantly. "I don't need your help. Thanks," she snapped, all high and mighty. I just shrugged it off, thinking, fine by me. Less drama, As the wedding got closer, everything started feeling so real. Every piece of the puzzle was falling into place, and I couldn't wait to see it all come to life. Through it all, Bradley was my rock. He was always there to cheer me on or give me a hand when I needed it. "Babe, this is going to be epic," he said one night, wide-eyed as he looked at my plans. "I can't believe you pulled all this together." "Well, it has to be perfect, right?" "For us," I replied, a mix of nerves and excitement bubbling up inside. We spent so many nights going over every detail, making sure nothing was missed. It was exhausting, but in the best way possible. The thought of walking down the aisle and seeing everything exactly as I'd imagined made it all worth it. I pictured it all in my head, the walk toward Bradley, every detail coming together. That vision made all the late nights and hard work worth it. But then came Doris's wedding, 3 months before ours. Bradley and I were invited, of course, and when I walked into her ceremony, it felt like a gut punch. Everything was there. My designs, my ideas, the details I had painstakingly chosen for our wedding, right down to the flowers on the tables. It was like stepping into a distorted version of my dream. Only, it wasn't my wedding, it was Doris's. I nudged Bradley, my voice shaking. "Can you believe this? She's taken everything. This is our wedding." Bradley glanced around, his discomfort obvious. "Babe, it's fine. Let's not make a scene. It's her day." "Her day?" I couldn't keep the shock out of my voice. "It's supposed to be our day. She's wearing my dress, Bradley. And that's my bouquet in her hands." Then Doris made her big entrance, looking exactly how I'd imagined I would on my wedding day. The betrayal hit hard. Guests oohed and awed, snapping pictures of the setup, the one I'd poured my heart into. Their joy felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I turned to Bradley, my voice desperate. "She's stolen our wedding. How can you be okay with this?" Bradley, always trying to keep the peace, sighed and looked anywhere but at me. "Don't do this now. It's Doris's wedding. Don't ruin it." Ruin it? The irony was too much. I was the one wronged, yet somehow, I was expected to smile and nod while Doris paraded around in my dream wedding. The urge to run away from this nightmare was overwhelming, but then something shifted inside me.
No.
I wasn't going to run. This wasn't just about flowers or dresses. This was about respect, about standing up for my ideas. I took a deep breath and spoke, my voice low but steady. Bradley, this isn't right and you know it. I need to know how she got her hands on my plans. He looked at me then, worry written all over his face. Before he could say anything, Doris appeared, beaming in her stolen gown. Isn't it just perfect? She gushed, completely oblivious or indifferent to what she had done. I forced a tight smile, my mind racing. It's something all right. Tell me, Doris, where do you get the inspiration? She laughed, her tone as fake as the facade we were all trying to keep up. Oh, here and there. A girl has her sources. With that, she turned and flitted off to mingle with her guests, leaving her words ringing in my ears. Sources, my sources. My plans. My wedding. Bradley tried to steer the conversation somewhere else, but I was done. Done playing the understanding fiancé. Done standing by while my wedding played out in front of me like some cruel joke. This wasn't just a mistake, it was a betrayal, and I wasn't going to let it slide. I walked over to Brittany, who was standing beside Doris, basking in the compliments from guests gushing over the stolen decorations. 7 months of planning, Doris bragged, and Brittany nodded proudly, her face glowing with pride. Fueled by a mix of hurt and determination, I spoke up. Who came up with this? Who's the mastermind behind the wedding design? My voice cut through the chatter, and the room grew quiet as curious glances turned toward us. Doris's confident smirk faltered under my glare. The tension in the air was thick, and the guests shifted uncomfortably. Brittany, caught off guard, turned to me with concern. Is everything all right, dear? Before I could answer, Bradley appeared at my side, placing his hand on my arm and trying to guide me away. Let's not do this here, he whispered, almost begging. It's Doris's day. I pulled my arm free, my voice rising despite my effort to stay calm. Why, Bradley? Why did Doris steal my wedding plans? How did she even get my dress? Doris's eyes darted to Bradley, and her innocent facade began to crumble. Bradley let out a deep sigh and finally faced me. Look, he began, our wedding is still months away. I thought Doris could use your ideas and the dress. It saved money. I stared at him, stunned, trying to process what I'd just heard. You gave her my dress? My ideas? And you think that's okay, because it saves a few bucks? My voice broke as the weight of his betrayal hit me. Bradley avoided my eyes, his voice soft. We can push our wedding back. Let people forget about the design. I'd do anything for my sister. Doris, emboldened by Bradley's words, smirked and added, I just had to have that dress. It was too beautiful to pass up. Now you can say you're following in my footsteps. That was it, the last straw. My vision blurred with tears of frustration and heartbreak. I turned to face Bradley, the guests, the entire room. I can't do this, I said, my voice shaking but firm. I won't marry someone who puts his sister's whims above our plans, above our future. Bradley reached for me, but I stepped back, my decision clear. No, Bradley. This isn't about a dress or decorations. It's about respect and trust, and it's clear I can't trust you to stand by me. Brittany shockingly came to my defense. Marilyn's right, she said, her voice sharp and cutting through the silence. This isn't how we raised our kids. To steal and lie. Doris's soon-to-be in-laws looked horrified. Whispers of disapproval rippled through the room. Starting a marriage on a lie is no foundation for a future, someone muttered, disappointment clear on their faces. Then, to everyone's surprise, Doris's fiancé stepped forward, grabbed the microphone, and addressed the room. There won't be a wedding today. His voice was steady, his decision final. The room erupted in gasps and murmurs, but I didn't stay to see the aftermath. I walked away, tears streaming down my face, but my head held high. I had lost Bradley, but I had kept my self-respect. That, I knew, was worth far more than any wedding dress. I can't marry someone who's okay with lies, I said firmly. Bradley looked at me, his eyes full of regret, but it wasn't enough. I couldn't feel sorry for Doris either. Her reaction was like something out of a bad TV drama, tears, yelling, and then, to top it off, she threw her bouquet on the ground and stomped on it. A part of me wanted to laugh at how ridiculous it all was, but the sadness in Brittany's eyes stopped me. Bradley, now officially my ex-fiancé, seemed more worried about Doris's meltdown than the mess he had caused. "Look what you've done, Marilyn. You're ruining everything," he snapped, his words hitting me like darts. His parents, however, weren't on his side. "We're ashamed," they said, their disappointment directed at both Bradley and Doris. "Ashamed to have raised children who think this behavior is okay." As I walked away, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Relief because I had escaped a lifetime of playing second to Doris's whims, and sadness for the future I thought I'd have with Bradley. They say the calm comes after the storm, and for me, it came after a hurricane of emotions and drama. Finding peace wasn't instant. It took time, soul-searching, and a lot of focusing on myself. One quiet afternoon, I sat in my living room, surrounded by sketches and fabric swatches. For the first time in a long while, I was designing and dreaming again. Only this time, it was for me. I felt a spark of happiness I hadn't felt in ages. Then my phone rang, breaking the silence. It was Natalie, my best friend, her voice like a warm hug. "Marilyn, girl. How's the world's next big wedding stylist doing today?" I chuckled, shaking my head even though she couldn't see me. "Getting there, Jen. I'm actually working on a new project right now. That's my girl. Hey, remember that boutique on 6th? The one we loved? They're looking for a designer to revamp their bridal section. Sounds like it's right up your alley." My heart skipped a beat. "Really? That's huge." "Exactly. You've got to go for it. Show them what you're made of."
And I did.
I poured my heart into a portfolio, showcasing not just my skills but my vision, my passion for fashion that told stories and celebrated love in all its forms. Walking into that boutique with my portfolio in hand felt like stepping into a new chapter of my life. The interview wasn't even an interview, it was a conversation, a shared excitement about what weddings could be. When they offered me the job on the spot, it wasn't just an opportunity, it was validation. It was proof that I was exactly where I was meant to be. I finally felt like I was where I was supposed to be. But even with the new beginnings, there was one thing left to deal with: Bradley. The whole wedding mess didn't just leave me heartbroken, it also left me in a financial bind. I knew I needed to address it to truly move on. I met Bradley at a quiet coffee shop, a neutral spot for what I knew would be an uncomfortable conversation. "Marilyn, he started, but I raised a hand to stop him. "Save it," I said, keeping my tone calm but firm. "I'm not here to rehash everything. I'm here about the wedding, the one that didn't happen because of, well, you know why." He nodded, staring down at his coffee. "Yeah, I know. I want compensation, Bradley," I said, "for the damage it caused, emotionally and financially. It's only fair." He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Marilyn, I know I messed up. How much are we talking?" I slid a piece of paper across the table with the amount written on it. "It's not just about the money, Bradley. It's about acknowledging what you did and the impact it had." He glanced at the number, winced, but then nodded. "Okay, I'll make it right, Marilyn. I owe you that much. And Bradley," I added, looking him straight in the eye, "this is the last time. After this, we're done. No more. We go our separate ways for good." He looked at me for a long moment before nodding again. "I understand." Walking out of that coffee shop, I felt lighter. It wasn't just about getting the money back. It was about standing up for myself. It was about setting boundaries and demanding respect. That moment was the final piece of my journey, the step that turned me from someone who let things happen to her into someone who is building her own future.